After nearly 10 years of creating content on YouTube, producing music, editing videos, and even some gaming and live streaming, I've finally built my dream home studio and office setup. And the cool thing is, it all fits in my small bedroom without compromising on quality or efficiency. This space is designed perfectly for everything I need it to do, and I'm very excited to share it with you. So if you're looking for any new ideas to upgrade your own setup, or just curious about some of the gear I use and my creative workflow, then be sure to stick around and let's jump in. I'll start with my desk, which is probably my favorite part of this entire setup. I built it myself from a live edge slab of maple, and I'm just really happy with how it turned out and how it feels to work at. And I actually did a build video for this desk along with some of my other gear in this setup, so check out those build videos in the description if you'd like, along with links to all of my other gear and equipment in this setup. But the desk is about 6 feet wide by about 30 inches deep, which is really the perfect size for me. My arms can span across the whole desk so I don't have any wasted space, and it fits in just about any room size, fits in the back of my truck to transport. I'm just really happy with that size for what I do. And the frame I used on the desk is the New Heights Elegante XT standing desk base. And this frame is just really high quality. It's actually made in the US from aluminum extrusions and has a lifting capacity of about 325 pounds, which is perfect for the heavy live edge slab I have, along with all of the rest of my equipment, my speakers, monitors, all of that good stuff on top of the desk. And underneath the desk, while we're under here, is also my cable management, which is a little messy. I kind of just stuffed everything and zip tied it and everything into the included cable tray, which is actually part of the standing desk frame. It's a support that goes across down there. And I could use other cable trays and little stickies and things to clean up that space a little bit more, but I didn't really want to stick anything or drill anything into the live edge slab because this thing is just my beauty and I really don't want to wreck it or anything. If it was just an MDF top or an IKEA top, I probably would take the time to do some better cable management and drill some little anchors and screw things in and whatnot. But I'm pretty happy with it. You can't really see it unless you're right under there looking at all of it. And I was just happy that I could fit everything in that little cable tray. I've got the control box for the desk, which is actually controlled via Bluetooth on my phone, so that I don't have to have the little switch panel on the front of the desk, which just looked a little messy with the live edge there. So I have a switch panel that I could put on, but yeah, it's nice to be able to control it up and down with my phone and set the presets and everything there. So I've got the box, I've got a power strip, I've got other little outlets and plugs and surge protector under there so that I can plug everything I need, power everything I need. I have a Sabrent USB hub with 7 powered USB ports so that I can plug just one USB cable into my computer and power all of my peripherals like my keyboard, my mouse charger, my monitor light, wireless charger for my phone, all of that good stuff without having so many cables running down to my computer, which is really nice. And for the computer, I just built a Windows PC with the NVIDIA 4090 graphics card and the Intel 13900K CPU. And I'll put a little overlay of the specs on screen if you're interested, as well as a build video for this desktop in the description. But this thing is an absolute powerhouse. I built it about 2 years ago now, and it is still doing everything I need. Super great for all of my recording and editing, and it's also very quiet. I put some really high quality fans in there because I obviously record music. I didn't want any fan noise or a loud computer getting recorded into the mic in my small space. So it ended up working out really well. And it just sits on a little riser that I made from some maple plywood just to keep it off the carpet so it's not sucking up any dirt or dust from the carpet. And under that riser is a bit of hidden space for some cables and guitar pedals and some things along those lines. And then right next to the computer, I just have a large backup hard drive for my computer, as well as just to dump videos on when my computer storage gets full. Now moving on from my computer and to my displays, my main monitor is a 27-inch 4K LG monitor. And I actually got it, I think, over 6 years ago, so it's not that new, but it's fairly color accurate and pretty high quality for the price. I do want to upgrade though in the future to a 32-inch monitor. I think that would just be my ideal size for this space, and it's nicer to have a little bit of extra space for watching movies and gaming and editing and that sort of thing. And I should also mention that rather than going with a ultra wide monitor, because a lot of people use ultra wides, I really like the 16:9 ratio from my main monitor, mainly because I just do a lot of recording and tutorials and things like that, and it's just easier for me to set up all my applications or gameplay for my gaming YouTube channel and everything in 16:9 ratio, since that's kind of the standard for consuming YouTube content and things like that in the horizontal resolution. So that's the reason for 16:9. I've never really had it bother me or wished I had an ultra wide, so it works for me. And for extra space right next to it, I have another 15-inch monitor as kind of my secondary display. And this thing is really, really awesome, and I'm about to tell you why. The reason I love this little 15-inch is it's not just a display. It has a few extra awesome features, like the fact that the entire thing is powered and the display signal is sent through one USB 4 cable. So it eliminates having to have two cables going to the monitor, one for power and one for display, which is awesome. And my favorite part about it is that it's also touchscreen. So I mainly use it for my live chat. When I'm doing live streams, I'll drag my streaming software over to the small monitor, and then I can put my live chat there and be able to use the touchscreen to scroll through chat if I'm trying to talk to people without having to Alt-Tab out of my main monitor to drag my mouse over there. Which is just amazing. I can kind of press stop and start recording, and just having a little touchscreen display as an external monitor has really been a game changer, and it was only like $150 or something. Absolutely would recommend this thing. I can even take it off its little tablet mount and plug it into my other laptop or tablet to be able to have an extra display for those. It's just super portable, super convenient. It's thin, it's high quality, really good looking, and it also sits a bit lower rather than having a full-size monitor next to my 27-inch, because it allows for space above it to put a camera. And above it right now, I just have a really cheap Logitech webcam. I will absolutely be upgrading in the future from that, whether to a better webcam or actually using the camera I'm using to film this video as a webcam and upgrading this camera, which is a Sony ZV-E10 at the moment. This is kind of my main camera, for those of you wondering. I won't be showing much of it because I'm using it right now to record the video. But I love this camera, absolutely great for the price, perfect starter camera. I may do some other videos about this camera as well in the future. And if it does turn into my webcam, then it will basically just mount right above that smaller monitor and take the place of the Logitech webcam. But basically both these monitors are just mounted to a really simple, cheap Vivo monitor arm. It looks clean, it's got good cable management, and it actually had the main monitor mount as well as the little expandable tablet mount to hold the 15-inch external monitor, which was great. I was able to buy just this one arm for like $40 or something, and it works for what I need it to do. Maybe in the future I'll put my little monitor below my main monitor, because if I ever upgraded the size or if I ever did get an ultra wide monitor in the future, I've got a lot of flexibility with this setup. So now I'll talk about the lighting in my setup. And you'll notice that I have a light bar above my main monitor, and this is the BenQ Screen Bar Halo, which is a bit of an expensive desk light. I think it runs around $180 at the time of this video, but it was honestly one of the best investments that I made in my setup. It is super high quality, anti-flicker, and also has a lens along the bottom of the light that basically refracts the light so that it doesn't glare into the monitor, and it also doesn't glare into my eyes. So I can't see any light from where I'm sitting, and I can't see the reflection of it in the monitor. It perfectly directs the light onto my space and evenly lights the desk surface. It's really, really great. And then it also has an additional little light on the back of it that I can control independently to turn on, which bounces off the wall behind my desk. So if you have a wall behind your setup, it'll kind of just bounce off the wall and add an ambient light to the space, which is nice. Makes me not feel like I'm sitting in the dark all the time. And to control the light, I just have a little wireless remote on my desk to be able to change the brightness, the temperature of the light, set my presets for my favorite lighting modes, It's really, really awesome little system, and it just plugs into a little USB port under my desk. And then to the right of my main monitor, I have my Elgato key light, which is another really high quality light in my setup, mainly for lighting my face if I'm turned around with basically where the camera is in the background. And that is awesome for my streams and also for just recording videos. I have strategically placed it so that it's on the right side, and then my webcam or camera is on the left side of my monitor. And this placement basically makes it so that I can get that nice cinematic lighting. So if I put my camera on the right side, I would move the light to the left side, etc. You guys kind of get the point. So this is a common lighting setup. I also see a lot of people use two Elgato lights. You can kind of have one on both sides of the desk, which basically just gives a more even lighting to your face. Right now, actually, I'm recording this video with two umbrella lights on both sides of the camera to more evenly light the space rather than a super cinematic lighting. But yeah, one Elgato key light fits perfectly there, and it's just controlled on my computer, so I can change, again, the brightness, the temperature, all of that good stuff. It gives a really high quality, even light, no flickering or any of that for my live streams and videos. All right, now that I've talked about the lighting in my setup, let's move below my monitor where I have my monitor shelf that I also built from a live edge walnut board. And I absolutely love how the darker walnut contrasts the lighter maple wood of the desk. I think they go really nicely together. And on both sides of the monitor shelf, I have my speaker stands that I also built from that same walnut board so that everything could match. And I absolutely love how these all turned out. I have the build video for them linked in the description if you're interested, because I think I only ended up spending around $60 to $80 in materials to build these, and it definitely would have cost me a lot more to buy them if they were the same quality. For my speakers, I'm using KRK Rocket 7s, and these speakers sound really great to me for mixing and mastering my music, as well as just listening to music in general. And they even have a little dial and panel on the back for customizing and tweaking the settings and EQ depending on the acoustics of your space. And this space is pretty well acoustically treated. I have my curtains on my window, I've got my couch and bed along the back wall, the room is carpeted, so I don't really have much in the way of any echoing or any of that. But eventually I would like to get a few acoustic panels up along the wall behind my desk. So it's pretty good, but there's a few tweaks I want to make in the future regarding that. And you also notice underneath these speakers, in between the speaker and the speaker stand, are these acoustic pucks. These are the ISO acoustic pucks, and they work really, really well. Their job is to essentially isolate the frequencies of the speakers and prevent them from traveling down through the speaker stand and into the desk, so that you don't get the desk vibrating or the floor of the room or anything with any unwanted muddy frequencies from the speakers. So it's just an extra step to make the sound be really accurate and clean, which is definitely important to me doing mixing and mastering. And while we're on the topic of music and audio, I'll go over the rest of my audio gear, starting with my microphone, which is a Rode NT1. And this is a very high quality condenser microphone that I use for just about everything, from recording vocals to instruments to live streaming and using for voiceovers for my videos. It's a really, really great mic. I do have a few other mics for very specific cases, but most of the time I use this one and I love the way it sounds. It's also a pretty affordable price. And currently it's just mounted on the Rode PSA 1 Plus microphone arm on my desk. And this is just kind of for convenience. I can swivel it anywhere, raise it up for singing, down for recording guitar, pull it out to the middle of my desk for when I'm live streaming. And this is a really solid mic arm that also can support the heavier weight of this microphone compared to the smaller podcasty mics. I guess the only downside is that I don't really like the big logo, the big lettering on it. But other than that, it's a great microphone and a great mic arm, and it works really well for my setup. And both my microphone and my speakers plug into my Scarlett Solo audio interface, which is a great little interface for most of what I need it to do, but I will be upgrading in the future because the one I have is the 2nd gen. It's a much older model, and the newer models have the microphone input on the back rather than on the front, so that I could just have my cable hidden back there instead of wrapping around and showing in my setup. And another benefit to the newer models is that they just have 1/4 inch inputs for speakers on the back, Right now, the one I have has RCA inputs, so I have to use adapters from RCA to quarter inch, and I really don't like using adapters if I can help it. So in the future, I'll probably just upgrade to a newer model of the Scarlett, or just a different higher quality brand in general if I can afford it. And right next to my audio interface is my Midi keyboard, which is the Akai MPK Mini. And this is really great if I want to use any virtual instruments or drums or things like that in my music tracks. For the most part though, I'm just recording vocals and guitar and keeping it pretty acoustic, but this thing is awesome, it's super compact, fits really well there, and it comes in handy when I need it. And last but not least, for audio related things, I have my Anchor Bluetooth speaker for when I'm not listening on my nicer speakers, as well as my Skullcandy headphones. Alright, now moving on to the rest of my peripherals. Starting with my keyboard, I have the Newfie Air 75 Hall Effect keyboard. And this is a low-profile mechanical keyboard that is honestly my dream keyboard at the moment. I love the way it sounds and the way it feels to type at, and I also really like the 75% layout to still have my function row and arrow keys and delete keys to make my workflow better, rather than something smaller like a 60% layout. And for my mouse, I'm using a Razer Viper V3 Pro, which is a really great wireless mouse. I think it lasts over 90 hours on a single charge, but I do have a cable that's tucked under my monitor shelf that I can pull out to charge it while still being able to use the mouse. And right above my mouse is my MP1 Macropad from Mech Labs. And this thing may seem small, but it's a really important gadget in my setup. It has 9 fully programmable buttons and a knob, and what I can do with each of those buttons is basically infinite. Right now I have it set up so that each of those buttons is like a stream deck where I can press each button to switch to a different scene while I'm live streaming, and the knob right now is a volume knob. But I can set up any preset I want. I could make it so that I could hold the button to do something versus a quick press of the button. It's a really, really amazing little piece of equipment. So I would highly recommend something like this. It has really changed my workflow and productivity. Alright, that pretty much concludes my setup. Of course, I could go into much more detail about a lot of these things, but I hope you found some of it interesting and inspiring, and be sure to subscribe if you'd like more videos on being a creator and growing online. And also, comment below what your favorite part was of this setup, or what you might add or do differently in your own setup, because I always love hearing your ideas. So with that, I will see you next time. Cheers.